think this is my 8th spring here, and it seems the same every time. We don't tackle well. We a little lackadaisical. Some probably more penalties than I'm used to having on the first scrimmage. Administrative penalties, signal getting in, delay a game, communication, things that you shouldn't have, but we typically have in the first scrimmage. But I was proud of the guys for pushing through. You know, we had rain this morning. Field was a little damp, but they competed. It's hard to, you know, talk about individuals because I like to watch the tape, so I don't get to watch the tape. But over 9 practices, I think today was the 9th practice. Pretty pleased with the effort of the guys. You know, I keep thinking defensively that we should be ahead of where we are, and we're probably not where we need to be in terms of that. We've played really physical up front on the offensive line. We got some guys dinged up that have been out, but we got some young guys that are coming along and picking things up. So the good news is those 21 freshmen, new guys, mid-years, whatever you want to say, they're going to be a lot closer to being ready the next time we have scrimmage 1 in the fall. So I'm excited about where they're going to be, but maybe not where they are. With that, we'll open it up for questions.
A reminder, Carter, we'll have a microphone here. Please raise your hand if you have a question.
All the way
Is this for real?
Kirby, what were your initial thoughts on how the quarterbacks played and where they as a group are at this point in spring?
Yeah, it's like everything. It's like the ebb and flow. I can think of really good things each one did, and I can think of really poor things each one did. So it's not like one guy sticking out. You know, Carson has really good command of the offense. He understands it inside and out. He communicates it. He gets things correct. He had a couple poor decisions and choices today, but he also made some plays. He made some really good throws. He's got really good presence in the pocket to move around. Brock made some plays. He made some plays getting out of the pocket, made some good throws. He had a couple downfield throws I think he wished he had back. Give us a chance in some 50-50 situations and keep the ball in bounds with that. But he did a really good job in 2 minutes. And then Gunner made some plays. Gunner made some plays with his feet. He's still like the administration of the offense of getting everybody lined up, getting going, getting the call in, which is not all on him, but he's growing and getting better. He made some nice throws. So I'm gonna keep repeating myself, but we got 3 pretty good quarterbacks, and they've grown, each one of them, and they're all 3 different in their own ways.
Following up on that, have the dynamics of the competition changed at all in terms of what you knew about these guys heading in after they've had more time, getting reps?
I don't think the dynamics have changed. I mean, Brock and Carson are both getting reps with the 1s. Gunner got some reps with the 2s, predominantly 3s, but our 3s are in a better state. You know, there's times when you've had your 3s, they couldn't function. This 3 group has, you know, really good skill players in it. We're not used to having this many wide receivers on our 3, so he has some good guys to throw to. The offensive line with the 3s has some experience, has a couple walk-ons. So it's like it functions so you can evaluate Gunner better, where there's not always a chance to do that with the 3s. But I can't sit and say that the dynamic has changed in any way, shape, or form. I think we'll evaluate this scrimmage and come back in Monday and be able to say, okay, what did they do well or poorly with no coach on the field? It's still a tough evaluation because there's probably 10 plays out there in the scrimmage where I have to say a guy got sacked. Well, did he get sacked or did he not get sacked? Because we didn't tackle him. So, you know, you give the benefit of the doubt to the defensive player that's standing there unblocked, but they actually have to get him on the ground. And until you tackle a guy live, I mean, that's what we're not going to do. It's not going to give you a true evaluation.
Coach, just from a speed aspect, as far as your wide receivers go, is this one of the fastest overall groups you've had that you've been here?
Yeah, I don't know that. Hard to say that because, I mean, you throw Arian in there and you know he's fast. He's as fast as we've had, but he's been part of the recent receiver groups. C.J. Smith is really fast, has done a good job growing up. Anthony Evans has been dealing with a little bit of an ankle sprain, and he went in early in practice, then he didn't get finished out. He didn't re-injure it, he just got a nagging injury, but he's fast. So it's hard to say. I think it's one of the largest sheer group we've had of numbers. Like, we're able to put 1s, 2s, 3s out there, and I can remember in the past springs, we were just depleted at that position. So I can't answer whether it's the fastest or not.
Kirby, we'll talk about offensive line and Austin Blasky, I think, getting some work at left tackle, Ernest Green. What's your assessment of that? And obviously Blasky keeps sticking around the way he has for 4 years and getting a shot. How's he responded to that opportunity?
Oh, he's a competitor. I don't know that there's anybody on the offensive line that practices as hard and as physical as he does day in and day out. And he doubles as a center too. You know, he goes in and plays center as well. So he's really intelligent. He's worked really hard. He's really good on our loose plays. He can cover down. He's athletic. He does a good job. Ernest is doing a really phenomenal job as well. Ernest gives us something we didn't have in the last couple of years. You know, in the run game, he's really physical. He moves people, and he competes. You know, so those two guys are battling it out there, and then, you know, we got to be able to flip too. We can't just all be one side. So whether Amarius is there or Amarius is at left, you got to have at least a couple of tackles that can flip and go back and forth, and they've both done a good job doing that.
Kirby, we had a chance to talk to Chaz the other day. What do you make of where the outside linebacker group is right now, especially knowing a couple guys are not out there going?
Green, extremely green. Never seen one as green. I mean, the issue is, like, even the old players. I'm calling Darius and Marvin and CJ old. They're not, none of them really have true playing experience. I mean, Marvin probably has the most, and he's out. CJ was, you know, injured all year, going through a shoulder surgery a lot of the year, and kind of recovered from that. So he's out there getting reps, and then you've got the incoming mid-years. So it's very unique, but I like what we have. Like, I wouldn't trade the room for somebody else's room because we've got some good players in there. They just got a long way to go. I mean, I go back to Nolan's freshman year, and you watch all the clips. He wasn't where he was year 3, and he's not supposed to be, and they're not. Jalen Walker last year played a lot in sub pass rush situations, so he's been able to do that as well.
Kirby, can you give us a rundown on the running backs room and just, I guess, injuries in general? Did everybody come out okay today?
I don't think we lost anybody today. We had some other guys that weren't able to scrimmage today, but we didn't lose anybody within the scrimmage. Dejan's been dealing with a hamstring, so he's been in and out. I mean, he's hitting some good miles per hour. I think Dejan's really close, and might have could have pushed it over the edge today to go to give us some more depth at back, but we didn't do that, with the hopes that 2 days off, Sunday, Monday, we'll have him ready to go Tuesday. Obviously, Kendall's injury, he's out, but Branson did a good job, man. Branson had, I think we ended up getting around 10 carries for Branson, about 10 carries for Rod, which is a lot for us in the scrimmage. We tend to, the guys that haven't played in games in the fall, we try to get them 10 to 12 a scrimmage. The guys that have played a lot in games, we try to get them 4 to 5 a scrimmage. But those guys did a nice job. Savon Clark went over there, did a good job. As you know, Cash has been working at that position. He does a really good job. And we've got a couple guys, Daniels and Thornton, that moved there from DB and receiver, who've actually been a blessing for us. 2 walk-ons, one was a wide out, one was a DB, who've done a really good job.
Hey, Coach, I was wondering if you could talk about what the tight end room looks like now without the likes of a guy like Darnell Washington.
Yeah, it's not the same. We don't have that, same mass and movement. And it doesn't just affect the run game, it affects the play-action pass game. Because where Darnell was elite was, he could block you. He could go on the perimeter and block you. He could get vertical on a play action. But when we max protect, he was like having an extra lineman in. And, Oscar's doing that. And Oscar's been a pleasant surprise blocking this spring. He's come so far. It's like you don't know how much Oscar got better versus who's the people he's blocking. Because he's not blocking Robert Beal and Nolan. He's blocking Gabe, Sam, CJ, and even Chaz. But Oscar's done a good job when he's gone against Trammell and Michael while he was out there, and Ty. So I like the competition at tight end, but we don't have the depth, especially with Pierce out, that we need.
Got a multi-part question on the defense. Can you update Michael Williams, the cornerback spot with Dalen, Ireland, Humphrey, and then what's the best position for Javon in this defense now?
You said Michael?
Yeah.
So Michael had a foot injury that was bothering him all year. He did not get injured in spring practice. He had a continuation of small sesamoid bone that Ron felt like if we couldn't handle it with maintenance, meaning treatment and getting better in recovery, that we would have the possibility of taking it out. So we decided to do that. It's going to allow him to be back, and he'll be back running in June and working out. So it's not it was more of a choice that he and his family made at the advice of the doctors, but not a true injury. It's just something that's been nagging him, and we want to clean it up for him and have him healthy. Javon's true position, he's a really good blitzer. He's a really good star. He's really one of these natural, just good football player. Reminds me a lot of Chris Smith, because Chris could play star, Chris could play safety, and Chris came in as a corner. When we recruited Javon out of high school, he was a deep part of the field player. He broke on balls, made lots of tackles. The things we saw on tape, we see now. He's competing for the strong safety spot. He's repped at star, nickel, so very pleased with where he is, but we're trying to continue to get him better.
Hey, Coach, when you're watching these quarterbacks in these spring scrimmages, what's kind of towards the top of your list of the things you're looking for out of them?
Demeanor.
Things like today.
Demeanor and communication. So, like, I can get the stats, but it's like a true quarterback is a decision maker. In our system, because some systems take all the pressure off the quarterback and they just go really fast, we don't do that. We're a quarterback-driven offense. So can you process the information? That means get the signal, get people lined up, then see what the defense is in and figure out, are we in the right situation? Which of these three choices Coach Bobo's given me am I going to utilize on this play? And then the play happens, and there might be a mistake or a breakdown, and you not go full metal jacket and have catastrophe mode and put us in a bad situation. So, decision making is the number one thing I want to see at the quarterback position. Can you make consecutive decisions over and over that don't cost our team games? Because we have enough playmakers and we have enough plays that you will make a play inevitably. Don't make a bonehead play. And that's what we're trying to avoid.
Kirby, can you update us on the transfers and how the impact that they're making?
Yeah, I had a I don't know what day it was. He had a little bit of a bone bruise on his knee, so he missed 1 or 2 days. Came back Thursday, had a good practice Thursday, was catching his wind, and then had a pretty good scrimmage today. Biggest thing with Rah, he's shown us some ability to make plays downfield, which we think we really need. He catches the ball well. He's got to learn the system, like for him, it's like these little administrative things. What's my split? What's the call? How do I get the signal? Where do I line up? Because he wasn't in a system that he had to do all those things. So there's a little bit of learning curve there, but we got a guy with good ability. He's got to be more dependable. And then Dom has picked things up nicely. Dom's very intelligent. Dom's been able to make some plays down the field. Been very pleased because Dom gets to match up on Taki and Bull and Jonell a lot, and he's made some plays on those guys. Been really proud of what Dom's been able to pick up. And then Deon Bowie is another guy that he's got to learn the defense. He's got a long way to go in terms of picking it up, but he's not afraid to compete and go out there and work.
Coach asked about something else about Brampton Robinson. You always hear about players making their biggest jump, whatever, between freshman and sophomore years. Kind of what do you see from him from that standpoint? As far as his receiving skills go out here, that's something he's been working on. How's he looking there?
He's working. I mean, I can't think today. I don't know if he had any catches out of the backfield. We had several guys with catches out of the backfield. I don't know that he got any opportunities. I know he got his share of carries. And he continues to work on that. I thought he looked quick and powerful today. He broke some tackles, like you would expect. I mean, I think he could have easily played last year and played more. We had guys that were capable and in front of him, and he was in a learning curve of pass protection. So the biggest jump they have to make from year 1 to 2 is, can we count on you in pass protection, and can you catch the ball when we're free releasing you out as a back? And he's shown the intelligence and toughness to do that.
Hey, Coach, one of your former players from last year, Nolan Smith, he's really been shooting up a lot of scouts' minds for the upcoming NFL draft. Just from what you know about him, what kind of player would the team be getting if they do take him?
Oh, he's going to make the organization better. He's going to make the community better. First of all, he's a very bright individual. He's a huge personality. He's a hard worker. He's coachable. But that's why they draft those guys in the first round. They want to look and say, where are the pitfalls? When you look at Nolan Smith, you're not going to get many because of his character stands out. He's got a great mama and grandmama at home that they raised a bright young man. He's fun to be around. He texts me all the time, and you can tell he's just, I miss him, because when you walk in the team meeting room, he was sitting right there smiling, loud as hell, always talking, and they're going to get a great personality that I think will represent whatever organization takes him. He'll represent them the right way.
Kirby, who are the guys that are competing for that open corner spot, and what has sort of stood out in that competition at this point in spring?
Well, I would say Kamari has played well. Okay, so he's ahead, not where he needs to be in terms of, I want him to continue to grow and get better, but his steps he's taken have been towards leadership and toughness and showing people how to practice. There's really, it's open competition. Those guys have rolled through there. Dalen, Nyland, Julian Humphrey, and really A.J. Harris and Dayon. So, we're trying to find out who's going to play the best, who can match up with the guys. A lot of it is not just who can make a play, it's who's not going to give up explosives. Our defense is going to allow us to stop the run and do a lot of things. Who's not going to give up plays on the perimeter? And it's very similar to the quarterback. All three of those guys have flashed. So who's going to be the best after the next 26 practices we've got to have? And I don't know that we're ready to say that yet. They've all had moments of success, and they've also had moments of failure, and probably even today. A couple of those guys you mentioned had picks and big plays, and they also gave up big plays.
Got time for 2 more questions?
Yeah.
Coach, can you give us an update on JDJ and how he's come along this spring? I know he was integral to the defense last year, and I guess he'll probably be a leader moving forward. How has his spring gone?
Yeah, he and Smile are, I think they started out the spring not knowing really okay, I'm in a curious position. Last spring, I got a chip on my shoulder. Nobody knows who I am. Everybody's questioning us. I'm the new leader, and they're out there hungry, just eating off the floor. And they had good seasons. Both of them did in their own right. Smile played really well, and Smile had a great off season in terms of lifting weights and working, and Smile's come on and is playing really good. And they go out to spring ball, and there was a point in time there where I felt like I needed to call them in because I don't know if they were practicing with the same ferocity that they would have been practicing with like they were last year. And I showed them some clips. I said, okay, here's last spring or last fall camp, and this is the way you were practicing because you had something to prove, and now here's the first 4 practices of this spring. Is that the same 2 guys? And I think they both acknowledged that it probably wasn't, and it needed to be, and that's the disease that's out there. Now, I'll say this, since that conversation, they both have really picked it up and been great leaders, and it wasn't that they were doing anything wrong, it's just they weren't doing it right enough for the Georgia standard.
You touched on this a little bit earlier, but when you lose a guy like Kenny McIntosh that was so productive as a receiver out of the backfield, how's that been going this spring and figuring out how to replace a little bit of that production, getting those guys ready for that role?
Yeah, it's almost impossible with the situation we have with Kendall and Dejon. I mean, you're not going to replace Kenny's receptions just with the backs we have. I mean, Andrew Paul's out. So you're sitting there going, okay, Andrew Paul's almost back, but he's not. Dejon's almost back, but he's not. Kendall's out. It's been tough. But that's why we got a wide out that's 200 pounds moved to running back in Thornton, and we got a DB that's 200 pounds that's moved to back. And those 2 guys, Daniels and Thornton, have done great, man. They're part of the culture at Georgia of you go out and get really good high school players from the state of Georgia, and they can play any position. And they have helped with the receiving skills of that. And now Branson's still working on that, and Rod's still working on that as well.
Okay, thank you, Coach.